Hey everyone, this is Monique Groves, and I'm coming back with another short, brief video. In today's topic, I don't more so have a topic, I have a question. What would you do if you could not hear the voice of the Lord in 24 hours? Let me say that again. If 24 hours went by and you couldn't hear God speak to you or say something to you, what would you do? You know, so many of us, if we couldn't get a hold of a loved one within 24 hours, we would be going nuts. For some of you married women, if your husband, didn't call you or text you within a 24-hour period, you might file a missing persons report. If you couldn't hear from your child in 24 hours, you within 3 hours, some of you be losing your minds. Same with husbands. If you couldn't hear from your wife in 24 hours, you would be going crazy. You might be cool at first, but after a while, you would be like, hey, what's going on? Some of you, if you don't talk to somebody that's close to you within 24 hours, or if there's no text message, we will be going crazy. Okay? Same with our phones. If you lost your phone, if you couldn't access certain things, you would be losing your mind. But when it comes to God, if we don't hear from God, some of us, we are just as casual as a Sunday breeze. We don't have any urgency. We're not panicking. We're not doing nothing. Some of you haven't heard from God directly. It's been more than 24 hours. It's been days. It's been weeks. It's been months. It's been years. And you are just calm, cool, collected, no urgency. If you couldn't hear from God about your life, what would you do? Would you pray? Would you fast? Would you do both? Would you be calling on God? Would you be doing some praise and worship? Would you be getting in that Bible? I'm just presenting this question because when we lose things in the natural, whether they're people, again, let me just say this again. If you could not hear from your child, and if 24 hours went by and you couldn't hear from your child, you would be going crazy. Let's say you drop your child off at school. It's 9 in the morning. Let's say it's 8 in the morning. You drop your child off. By 2 o'clock, you wanting to pick that child up. But let's say you haven't heard anything. That 2 o'clock hour is come and gone. You haven't seen them. You haven't heard them. You would be going crazy. Same with the husband. Same with the wife. And husbands and wives, they communicate. A text message go out, a phone call, something. And when it's around that time when work is over, you're expecting to hear from your significant other. And if you don't hear from them, that's a problem. You're going to blow up their phone. You're going to send a bunch of text messages. And then if you don't hear from them, a lot of women will get in that car and retrace steps. Like, wait a minute, it only takes, XYZ amount of time for him to get from here to... The point I'm making is you would go into action. You would be taking some action. Some of us, you haven't heard from God more than 24 hours and you haven't done anything. You're comfortable not hearing from God. You're comfortable not hearing the voice of God. I'm going to tell you right now, I wouldn't be. If I don't hear from God in a certain time, I get panicked. That worries me because I need to hear from God. I need to hear his voice. I need to hear his voice. His voice is my life. He is life. So how can we be walking around? We ain't heard from God. Some of you in weeks, months, days, hours, and you're comfortable. You're comfortable. You're not even concerned. That's a problem. That's a big problem. If you haven't heard from God in at least 24 hours, I will stop everything I'm doing and pray and fast and seek God's face. I wouldn't be eating nothing. I wouldn't be going anywhere. I'd be saying, Lord, I'm not moving until I hear from you. That's the type of, I'm talking action. And some of us won't do it because we don't care that much. God's voice is just not that important. But let me tell you something. If you're not hearing from God, you're lost. You're lost because we need God's instruction. We need God's wisdom. These are dangerous times that we're in, and it's only getting darker and more evil. You need to hear the voice of the Lord. You need to be communicating. It's not just praying to God, but we need to be getting downloads from heaven. Okay, it needs to be two-way conversation. If you're not getting that two-way conversation from God, there's a problem. There's a problem. If your internet went out, you would be going into action, trying to reboot it, unplugging stuff, plugging things back in, calling up your internet provider. You would be going into action. But we don't do that when it comes to God. We're just, that's not good. If you haven't heard from God in 24 hours, I will stop everything I am doing and make it known, God, I need to hear from you. I cannot live without the voice of the Lord. That should be our attitudes as saints. That should be our attitude as disciples. How can we be comfortable going days, months, weeks without hearing a direct word for our lives from God? I don't care about what somebody else is saying about my life. I don't care about some people, some advice. I don't care about that. I need to hear from God for myself. I need to know what God has spoken to me about my life. Okay, so this is just a question, guys. What would you do if you couldn't hear from God? All right, think about that. Meditate on that. Examine yourself. Examine your communication with God right now. Is it good? Is it strong? Is it weak? If it's weak, you got work to do. Okay? All right, guys. I love you guys. Until next time, be safe, be blessed. Bye-bye.